The day Davida met Willie, she knew he was the man she'd marry in the big wedding she'd always dreamed of. But after they got married, she says Willie got lazy, and now she wants him to pay.
It was her wedding. She should have paid for it.
You paid all the bills?
All the bills.
I didn't even think I was getting married. The preacher called me the wrong name anyway.
But Willie says Davida knew what she was getting when she married him.
She thought I was a gigolo. She was afraid women would be attracted to me or whatever.
Oh, come on. Your wife told you to stay at home to keep the women from flirting with you?
Stay at home. Yes. She just needed a man in her life.
Yeah. I think what he's saying is that you just needed somebody to provide you a little sexual activity.
And
is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
He was cut off from that, so.
Ooh.
Now Davida Dallas and Willie Banks square off in today's session of divorce court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Mablean Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the matter of Willie Banks versus Davida Dallas. I understand you're ready for divorce.
Yes. And
how may this court assist you, Ms. Dallas?
Well, I'm looking for reimbursement for wedding expenses based on that, to me, the marriage was fraud and deceitful. It has not worked out, and it will not
Reimbursement for wedding expenses because the marriage didn't work out?
Yes.
What theory is that?
At the time that I married him, I was a college student. I was working 2 jobs. I did ask him to marry me. We had been friends for 2 years. I'm thinking I'm spending the rest of my life with this man.
And everybody that gets married thinks that.
Right. It didn't work. If I had known some of the things that I know now, or knew maybe even 3 months after I got married, it wouldn't have taken place.
Like what?
For instance, that he would be spending Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights down at his spot with his friends and so forth.
Instead of with you?
And not coming home.
She knew where I hung out with my friends before she proposed to me.
Where'd you hang out?
I hung out over my uncle's house. It was just.
What's that?
It's just.
Just your uncle's house. Why is that such a bad hangout?
Well, it's not a bad hangout. She assumed it was a bad hangout.
So what
like
were you
she said.
doing over there?
Yeah.
What?
It's called the tree.
It's called. It's a big tree.
Your uncle's house is called the tree at your age? I thought children had tree houses.
No, ma'am. It's a big tree. It's a big tree behind a set of apartments, and we sit out and we play cards.
Oh, you sit around the tree?
We sit amongst family members and so forth,
doing
like
what?
that. And she knew.
Wait a minute, doing what all day long?
My uncle ran his business from there.
Drinking.
Okay, he ran his business from there.
When you run your business,
it's
landscaping from the tree.
When we got off work, we sat there.
Oh,
we
you
had
sat there
beers.
when you got
Yes.
off work.
We sat there. We'd have beer or something. We'd have
If he was working for landscape, then I wouldn't have receipts proving that I was paying all the bills.
Well, you paid all the bills?
All the bills.
Before or after the wedding?
This was.
She wants to make that clear. A-L-L.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the way I see it.
And especially the point I want to point out is there is a slight age difference between the two of us. So if at the time I might have been 21, and I'm taking care of a grown man. I think he was about 24, 25 at that time.
And you're going to school and working?
Yes, I majored in criminal justice and...
She hardly ever spent any time at school.
Majoring in criminal justice, you didn't figure out certain characteristics from the criminal justice cases?
Apparently not.
She didn't spend very much time at school.
Let me hear his story, though. What were you doing during the day when she was at working at school?
I worked at a metal company. If I wasn't doing landscaping, I worked at a metal company.
Well, what kind of landscaping you do sitting under the tree? Is that the new style?
No, ma'am, it's not. It's not a new spot. It's just because I'm a grown man and I'm going to do what I want to do. She knew that before she married me, and she proposed to me.
Well, when people get ready to get married, or when people get married, you don't always do what you want to do. You have to consider the other spouse.
Well, she did what she wanted to do during, before, and after the marriage.
You didn't ever consider what your wife wanted?
No,
how
I know what she wanted. I know what she wanted. She wanted money. That's all she's about.
He never
money.
Hold on a minute, Mrs. Dallas. Did you work?
Yes, I worked.
But she knew what you were all about when she proposed to you.
Absolutely.
Now tell me what you were all about from your perspective.
I was just a happy-go-lucky guy that, I made a living.
Happy-go-lucky, doing nothing sort of a guy?
I made a living. I made a living to support myself.
No.
And you never thought about supporting yourself and be quiet, Miss Dallas, yourself and a spouse?
Not until she asked me to marry her, yeah.
Oh, and when she asked you to marry her, what did you think your responsibility was then? To still be a happy-go-lucky guy?
You know, after we got married, she was afraid that, like she said, she thought I was a gigolo. She was afraid women would be attracted to me or whatever. And so she asked me not to work. She asked me to stay at home with her 6-year-old daughter.
Oh, come on. Your wife told you to stay at home to keep the women from flirting with you?
Stay at home with,
That's a lie.
Excuse me?
Yes, Your Honor, yes. Yes, I have well, I don't have witnesses, but there are people.
She said, stay at home, babe, because the women may flirt with you?
Yes, she did.
Did she lock you up too?
Well, I had her 6-year-old daughter.
I mean, did she lock you up in the house?
Well, I didn't have a key. If I left, I was locked out.
That is not true.
Mrs. Dallas, did you tell him to stay at home?
No, I did not.
Did you ask him to be the babysitter?
You did not ask me to sit at home with
This was the situation. I actually let him use my car, because I had these things before I met him. I let him use my car. He was supposedly be going to find a job.
Well, it sounds like you didn't go into this blind. You had 2 years to look at him, and you
didn't look at him.
He promised me. And once he made the effort,
she needed the stability. That's what she needed.
Once he made the effort.
If she hadn't married me, she'd have married somebody else.
She needed what stability? What stability did you provide?
She just needed a man in her life.
Oh, she needed a man.
Yeah. If I hadn't been the man, it'd have been somebody else.
So you're saying that she just paid for you because she needed somebody with some pants on?
And it was her wedding.
No,
it was her wedding.
I don't think so.
It was her wedding, Your Honor. I didn't have any guests at the wedding.
Hold on a second. Did you hear that statement he made?
Yes, and that's
he said you just needed a man.
That's all she needed.
And you were willing to be the person with the pants, whether you contributed anything or not.
Though?
Because she asked me, yes.
What's his definition of a man? Because we differ on that idea.
I think what he's saying is that you just needed somebody to provide you a little sexual activity.
And
is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
That wasn't happening either, because if you ask him, he was cut off from that. So I'm going to tell you the truth.
Well, yeah.
So he wasn't providing the sexual activity either?
Why would I have sexual intimacy with him when he's at the tree from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? I don't know what he's bringing back. So if he's working, why are you spending the night out? Why are you not coming home? Why are you not producing anything?
I'm glad I was.
So wait a minute. What you're saying to me is that Mrs. Dallas wanted a man just so she could have a man in the house, and she was willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
As long as she had somebody there to take care of her daughter.
When she met me, I was riding a bicycle.
Exactly.
And I spent the night with her the next day.
Next day?
Yes.
No.
Actually, you know what, Miss Dallas? Miss Dallas, hold on a minute. Now, there is a little validity in that. Now, if you met the man riding a bicycle, and all he was doing was, as large as he is, and appearing to be an adult person, grown man as you call it, riding a bicycle, and you bring him to your house to spend the night, now that told you something right then and there.
When divorce court returns, Davida testifies about the hold Willie had on her.
The man was confused, didn't know what he was doing, riding on a bicycle, didn't have a job, and yet you married him.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. Divorce court is back in the case of Davida Dallas, who is divorcing her husband Willie because she says he refused to pay for their wedding.
He spent the night, but nothing occurred.
And but I mean, why would you take a stranger riding a bicycle to your house?
Actually, he wasn't even a stranger. How I met him was through another person that I was very familiar with.
But I'm asking you, what did you think he could contribute to you, a woman going to school, working, having your things before you met him, and he riding around on a bicycle?
At that time, marriage wasn't even an idea. We was developing first a friendship. I wanted to get to know him. I knew the other individual who I met him through quite well. So
but I'm asking
this is 2 years later.
Stop. Let me ask the question.
Thank you.
Let me ask you the question and answer my question.
Yes.
What interested you in this man riding a bicycle? What did you think he could do for you?
I liked his personality when I met him. He was
gigolo style.
When I met him, he was very attractive. He is very attractive.
So you liked you were attracted to him physically?
Right. I knew the person who introduced me to him.
All right.
Okay, so I'm assuming that other person know what type of person I am. He wouldn't be introducing me to someone that was...
Wasn't he his friend?
Yes, he was his friend.
I did not know this gentleman.
That's a lie.
I met him twice.
So your position is she knew you weren't working. She knew you didn't have anything.
I didn't approach him.
Why complain now?
I didn't approach him.
Absolutely.
Your Honor.
And basically,
so if
Your
you
Honor,
didn't know the individual,
Your Honor,
I never approached him.
Your Honor,
the individual.
Hold on, let me hear his point of view.
Now look, and even while we were together, Your Honor, all she bragged about.
Before you married?
Yeah, before I married and after I married it. All she bragged about was, I had a man that used to do this, I had a man that used to do that. Well, why didn't you go to that man? She could have left me a long time ago, but she didn't. Instead, we moved to...
Why didn't you leave her?
Well, that's why. Well, I told her I wasn't coming back. She would come look for me.
Gigolo.
Because I told her I was not coming back home.
No, I didn't come...
And then so she decided...
Hold on, Ms. Dallas.
She decided, she thought maybe things work out better if we move to a different state.
So you moved to a different state
So we
together?
moved to a different state.
Actually, we left one state to go to the other state because at the time I was attending college,
At the time she was attending college, she was
I didn't have any family there. He really misused that and abused that. And
so you took him away from his family and went to yours?
No, I was going to leave him. Okay, because by this time it's been months. You haven't provided anything for me. I left to come to this other state to find me a place to stay. I wanted to get a divorce, but I wanted to remain friends since we had been friends 2 years before we got married.
Even though he was a gigolo?
Even though he was a gigolo. When I met him, he was confused. He didn't know what he was doing. I brought him to church. I did all these kind of things.
Oh, come on, Miss
Yes,
Dallas.
I did.
You're making this situation worse.
Well,
the man was confused, didn't know what he was doing, riding on a bicycle, didn't have a job, and yet you married him. And you paid for the wedding too, right?
After he married me, he was so excited and saying he was going to take care of me.
Giving me a new house and a car and everything.
He was going to let me finish my education. The roles were supposed to reverse. I believe that based on the lies and that he told me as far as switching roles, helping me with all these responsibilities, rent, cars, things like that, you know, he should pay for some of that.
Pay for what?
For what?
What should he pay for? What are you asking me to make him pay for?
He should pay at least half of what it costs, half of $10,000.
What would you spend $10,000 for?
I heard.
Wait a minute. What did you spend $10,000 for?
It was about $10,000 for my wedding.
Now it's about
$10,000 for your wedding? You haven't. Oh, she's holding up a check.
Well,
Let me
I
see
gave
the
her
check.
the money.
No.
She wrote the check.
But remember, you never gave no money.
Are those all the receipts?
Oh, my goodness.
This is most of them, yes.
For the wedding?
Yes.
Let me see.
It was her wedding. She should have paid for it.
Now, you are a cold man.
That's what I mean by it.
You don't get married with one person. How was it her wedding?
Because I didn't have any guests. Every guest there was her guest.
My family told him.
But a wedding consists of two people, a husband, a man, and a woman. Then you become husband and wife.
I didn't even think I was getting married. The preacher called me the wrong name anyway.
That's not true.
It's not funny. You even paid for the marriage license? You paid. So why do you think that this court should order him to reimburse you for the wedding?
That would help cover. I lost a lot of money, and I really loved him, and I really believed him. If I didn't trust him, there would have been no point for me to get married to him. And I think at least he should owe me that, especially
because you married.
This money would help with some of the other bills that have been caused by him since I got married.
So what are the other bills?
$1,500 phone bill since he's been gone for 2 years. He ran my phone bill up to $1,500. When I missed...
How did he run your phone bill up to $1,500 and he's gone for 2 years?
Okay.
Collect calls that you accepted?
No, I was not there.
Yes.
On many occasions, I was not there.
Collect calls?
Some of them are collect calls, and he would promise me that he was going to send me money.
2 years later, you still banking on his promises?
I talked to him the other day. He still
But I mean,
saying,
after 4 years of dealing with this man, you still banking on his promises?
I was believing him. I mean, believing him as far as the phone bill, no other type of obligations to me.
You tell me why you shouldn't pay for this, reimburse her for the wedding.
Well, I don't think I should.
Are you ready to do it?
I shouldn't have to reimburse her for anything.
Why
this
not?
Because this was, like you said, this was a joint thing. I mean, and she paid for it. If she knew that I didn't have anything from the beginning, why did she proceed with that? You know, she proceeded with it. She paid for everything. I let her know, look, we can't afford an expensive wedding because I'm not working. But she went ahead. I think the wedding was...
Stretch limousine and everything.
I think that was for her benefit. Her benefit, trying to keep up with the Joneses, as you put it. Okay?
No.
She's the one that renting Lincoln Town cars and limousines and paying all this money for a dress. The most expensive thing in the wedding was the dress.
I've heard enough. I can make a decision.
Okay.
Court will be at recess.
When divorce court returns, the judge renders her verdict.
I feel real sorry for you. There's an old saying, you reap what you sow.
And an update on the case of Susan Cordova versus Jaime Vargas.
I love women.
You love women.
I love women. By the way, you look very beautiful. You look very beautiful.
Divorce court will be back in session in a moment. Divorce court is back and the verdict is in. In the case of Davida Dallas, who is divorcing her husband Willie because she says she's tired of being his meal ticket.
We're back in the matter of Willie Banks versus Davida Dallas. If this court could do one thing, this is what I would do always, and that is order everybody into marriage counseling before marriage and order you to look at each other and to talk to each other and to ask questions. How are you going to marry somebody knowing that marriage to you, it's important to have somebody that's working, that's going to contribute, that's going to help you financially, that's going to help benefit you, and you don't bother to find out if he's working, what type of work he's doing, how much money he's earning, to even find out if it's going to be beneficial to you or not. You can't come to this court acting like you were misled and fraud. 2 years you dated this man. I can't believe, today, he's still standing here being silly. You saw him sitting under that tree all the time with his family. You had plenty of clues. You wanted a wedding. Like most of us. You had your big wedding. You got to pay for it. I can't order the man to reimburse you for the wedding costs that you put out. That was your decision to make. It was your money spent before the marriage. I can only order things reimbursed and paid for during the marriage. I feel real sorry for you. And when I said, are you in counseling, it may have sounded like laughter, but I'm very serious about it. Because unless you do, you're going to go out and buy another man, because that's all you did. You bought this man. You bought him. Lock, stock, and barrel. You were willing to pay for everything. And you know what he said? Fine with me. You know, I'll prostitute my body for you. And that's what he did. I'll sleep with you. I'll take care of your baby. I'll babysit. I'll do whatever, long as you take care of me. And I don't have to do anything. And you were willing to do that. And he accepted the offer. And unless you get some serious counseling, you'll do it again to the next man. Mr. Banks, there's an old saying, biblically, however you want to put it, you reap what you sow.
When divorce court returns, an update on the case of Susan Cordova versus Jaime Vargas.
Yeah, I was married, but the situation was that when you fall in love with somebody, okay, you're going to do whatever you can.
Excuse me, when you're in love with somebody, you tell the truth.
Closed captioning for divorce court provided by If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. And now for an update on a previous case in divorce court. When Susan fell in love with Jaime, he didn't tell her that he was already married to another woman. He ended that marriage and made Susan his new wife, but Jaime had trouble loving only one woman.
I love women.
You love women?
I love women. But when I saw her for the first time, that's when I really fell in love with her.
But that's when you knew what love really was, when you saw her.
By the way, you look very beautiful. You look very beautiful.
Look, now you know what that will get you. Out of here.
Yeah, I was married, but the situation was that when you fall in love with somebody, okay, you're going to do whatever you can.
Excuse me, when you're in love with somebody, you tell the truth.
Susan wanted Jaime to repay several $1,000s worth of credit card debt to her mother. The judge agreed with Susan and ordered Jaime to pay her mother.
Then I'm going to order that Mr. Vargas pay another $1,000 toward the credit card obligation.
A few weeks after their court appearance, Susan reported that Jaime is back to his old tricks, trying to sweet-talk her into another chance. But Susan said that she can't imagine being able to completely trust him ever again.
I think, she was right. The verdict was fair. It was, what goes around comes around.
She was wrong for the way she brought me here and tried to get me to pay for something that wasn't for me.
So I have been lucky and found a man, and he's very sweet, and he does the same things for me that I used to do for him. So
no, I'm not going to get married again ever because it's not for me. Like the judge said, she thinks I'm a gigolo.